Hi there, this is Nicholas Casimir at the TIFF Bell Lightbox here with Noah Cowan talking about the magnificent obsessions of Werner Schroeder. I guess the ultimate gayest film he made was The Rose King.
I mean, the interesting thing about Schroeder is I think he's one of the gayest filmmakers I've ever seen on screen. A gay identity, a kind of a queer identity of a very particular kind looms large in his movies. However, there's not a lot of gay people, there's not a lot of gay sex, and in fact in Rose King it's sort of discursive to the central tale in the film, although it becomes increasingly important in the movie. What's really key with him, though, is these obsessions that gay men had, I think, through the largest part of the 20th century, and still to a certain extent, though I'm not sure a Schroeder could exist today, because it's this mad combination of sort of furtiveness and being hidden, and then when you become unhidden, you go wild. This combination of opera, this combination of street trash, of fashion on one side, but also in explorations of sort of the sort of deep betrayals of family, which guide a lot of pre-Stonewall gay life.
He's more of a disciple of Pasolini and maybe Warhol. He was more operatic, more out there.
It's funny to talk about it, but yes, he actually is more wild than someone like Fassbinder, who's considered one of the wildest of auteurs. But it's true. And I think that's because of the really unusual, the really curious melange of influences that he comes from. I mean, the core of it is this real affection for the films of Andy Warhol, Jack Smith, and Kenneth Anger, coming out of the U.S., the kind of freaky gays of the 60s and 70s, in the United States. And I think those really caught his attention. And he wanted to tell stories in that same way, but through a European lens. And in particular, an obsession he had with opera. And a lot of people talk about it as a cinema of excess because he shoves so much into every frame, whether it's music or picture. But what's so great about it is that you're constantly disoriented. It's not like anything you've ever seen before.
What is it about queer filmmakers and the female muse? And you see this in Almodovar.
Julianne Moore and Todd Haynes. Yes,
absolutely. It's fascinating to me that there is something about the female muse with the gay filmmaker.
Well, there's something about gay men and women.
Yeah.
And there's I think in the old days, in the pre-liberation days, there was a sort of a sense of shared oppression. And then today, I think that there's a kind of a very special kind of camaraderie that continues to exist. And that as gay men try to explain or explore different kinds of identities and the ability to take them on, sometimes that needs to come through a woman, and through a woman's voice, through a woman's gestures, to contrast it with more masculine identity structures, which of course remain dominant.
These films really are rare to be seen on the screen, let alone to be seen, period. Yeah,
it's funny. I mean, he was never particularly fashionable in the way that Fassbinder and Wenders were from the New German Cinema. The important thing around this show, though, isn't so much that these films are lost, is that they're useless to watch on a television. These are really films designed for the cinema. At the time, people actually found them a little bit vulgar, in a way that they actually find Andy Warhol vulgar, or Jack Smith vulgar. And so all of that's coming back there. It's really a spectacle. And films are often described as that. And so it's really worth coming down to Lightbox and just checking one of these out.
Well, the retrospective begins November 8th here at the Bell Lightbox, and thank you.
Thank you.